What you're about to listen to is a Bry-Fy production.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bry-Fy podcast. I'm your host, Bry-Fy, your comics guy, and what is this, episode 346, I believe? I think this is the first time I've gotten the number right, if I remember correctly, which, like, what's the point of guessing the number and getting it right if I don't actually remember if that's the right number? Anyway, guys, hopefully you enjoyed today's episode. Shouldn't be too bad for you. Going through and thinking about what I wanted to do, because here recently, other than having interviews on for the show and the review comic, we've been really doing a lot of the same thing, talking about Thor, trying to get through this, and let's face it, I'm tired. As much as I love Jane Foster's Thor and changing things up, I just ultimately am not that excited by Thor. Like, it's just not my thing. It's just not what intrigues me. So decided to switch it up. In fact, we're going a little bit newer. I think it was released either last week or the week before. We're going to read Negan Lives. Well, not read it. We're going to review Negan Lives. So, of course, that's Negan from The Walking Dead. It's a quote-unquote one-shot coming from Robert Kirkman. Just kind of almost like a little side story. I don't know. We'll get into it more and my thoughts on, is it really a one-shot? Like, what's going on? And you know the way Robert Kirkman just Kirkman's, like the way he does things. So we'll talk about that. So spoilers ahead when we get to the review part. Of course, I do that at the end of the show where you can just stop listening if you don't want to be spoiled. Other than that, guys, we got some nifty nerd news headed your way, some stuff I think you'll find very interesting. And that's kind of it, man. And I will say, if you guys enjoy the weekly podcast and you guys are enjoying listening to everything I do, and you're kind of wishing I did more, or you want to hear me more, well, now's your chance. Head over to patreon.com/Bry-Fy podcast. For as little as $1 a month. You can donate $1 a month and you get tons of free bonus content. I just started doing a daily morning show, Tuesday through Friday, that you can listen to. So Mondays, you get my main podcast. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you get the Bry Drive morning show over on Patreon. And it's just a blast, guys. I've had tons of fun doing it. I only talk about one thing a day, and it ranges anywhere from sports to political stuff to just whatever. Like, whatever I find crazy or funny or interesting or infuriating. But it's way more Bry-Fy than you could ask for, and hopefully you're asking for it. But with that being said, thank you guys once again for tuning in to this podcast. And if you want to interact with me more and all that stuff, you can always find me on social media. Everything is at Bry-Fy Podcast. That's Bryfy Podcast. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Xbox Live, Snapchat, all those things. I'm even on Twitch for as long as that, or not, I'm on Twitch too. TikTok for as long as, and I don't post videos. I just use that to look at other people's crazy videos. But anywho, that's enough. Let's get on to the nifty nerd news. All right, guys, up first for the nifty nerd news is one I am super curious about. I'm super interested in, and unfortunately, it's too late to do anything about it. So why am I even telling you this? Just to upset you, I guess, is the only reason. Anywho, Walmart is teaming up with a film company, Tribeca, and they are doing drive-in theaters at Walmart parking lots. It's interesting as it sounds, mainly because I don't know a Walmart parking lot that's not full of people anyway, or like half full of people anyway. So the fact that they're going to try to do a drive-in theater, I guess during normal business hours, this can only go badly, right? Supposedly that's not true. Tribeca Studios, who's done this before with other free drive-in, like places, not necessarily Walmart. They're the ones that are, really kind of like the brains behind the operation. So it looks like August 14th through October 21st, they're going to do over 300 screenings at different Walmart locations across the United States, like Texas, Maine, all those places. And now my son is out here because he hears me talking. But it's crazy, man. They're going to do movies like Friday Night Lights, Karate Kid, Space Jam, Lego Batman, Black Panther, Pokemon Detective Pikachu. They're going to do like classics like Back to the Future, Beetlejuice, The Wizard of Oz, The Goonies, Selena. Oh my God, they're doing Selena. Holy shit. I bet you that one's going to be playing at like every Texas Walmart, especially like San Antonio, Pasadena, and all those places. Anyway, the Iron Giant, the regular Lego movie, Madagascar. So, I mean, they're going to have something for everyone. Basically, a lot of family movies because, I mean, it's free to the public in Walmart parking lots. But it's going to be drive-in style. So you're going to go in your car. You have to go online to get tickets to it, which, I mean, they're free. So, and also they're sold out. So sucks. Sorry, I'm telling you now. I wish I would have known that they were going to sell out sooner. But I guess, when you put free attached to things, people are just going to go nuts. I looked. Texas is completely sold out. I didn't check any other state because I don't care. I'm not going to drive to another state's Walmart just to watch a free movie I can get on Netflix or Hulu or something like that. Next up in the Nifty Nerd news, Mulan is coming despite COVID and all that stuff, but they got a smart way to do it. And of course, everyone kind of saw this coming. It's going to be released on Disney Plus. Here's a kicker, though. You don't just get it for having Disney Plus. No, it's going to be like video on demand. So it'll show up on Disney Plus. You'll pay $30 to be able to watch this, which, look, I get they got to make up their money. They spent a lot of money to make this live action thing happen. And unfortunately, with COVID-19 and everything, they're not going to be able to release in theaters like they had hoped for. I mean, also, Mulan's had a lot of controversy in the past few months, or maybe even over a year now, with the lead actors kind of siding with Hong Kong over in China with these crazy riots that have been going on and everything. And a lot of people have had a lot of different say about the matter on why they are siding with Hong Kong. They're worried. Like, some people are saying that they're only doing it because they're worried that their families will be kidnapped and become hostages by the Hong Kong government and stuff like that. So it gets crazy. Like, is it something like that? Is it, which a lot of people wouldn't put it past that government, like the Chinese government. So kind of a scary thing. So maybe that's why they're spoken in favor of like the Hong Kong police. Maybe they just, are misguided, like plenty of people over here. Anyway, so to try to recoup some of their losses and make some money back, Disney's offering it on Disney Plus, where you can get it for $30. My thing is $30 for us in Texas is quite a bit of money. A lot of theaters, for a movie ticket, it's like $10 here. Like, you can get like Sunday matinee $8 tickets. At least the last time I went to a movie, which was probably a few years ago, it was like $8 Sunday matinee for a ticket for me, and times that by 2 for me and my wife. So I was spending $16 for us to go watch a movie. To kind of sweeten the deal, I guess, Disney Plus is allowing you, once you pay for it as a rental, you can watch it indefinitely. So I guess it's kind of like buying to own, except, they can rotate it out if they want to. So, you pay $30 for it, and then they decide not to support it on their app anymore, and then you're out $30 for no reason. But hopefully you got to watch it as many times as you wanted to make up for the $30 that you spent. I don't know. It's kind of strange. I mean, someone said, well, it's kind of like, DLC for video games. You pay for a video game and then you buy the DLC for it, which is, anywhere between $20 and $30, maybe even $40, depending on what kind of game it is. And then eventually, after so many years, they kind of stop supporting the game because not a lot of people are playing it. And so you you lose that, because if they're not supporting the game anymore or online stuff, the game either just shuts down or becomes unplayable at some point, and it kind of sucks. But at the same time, you paid for the experience that you get to have. Like, I don't know. Like, I think about like the stuff like I've bought in Borderlands 3 DLC stuff, but I haven't played Borderlands in quite a few months now. I think over 6 months. So it's like, is that money worth anything? I mean, it's worth what I got to get out of it, for the couple of hours, maybe 15 hours that I put into the game. So I don't know, I buy DLC for a lot of video games that I play, and hell, I think the other ones that I usually continue to go back to are the Division games. But other than that, I don't really play too many games. So I guess those, other than the Division, it's money well wasted, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. But a lot of people are kind of like, $30 is a lot. But then, if you got a family of 4 and you're spending $10 for a movie ticket anyway, that's kind of a deal, for big families. But for like us, me and my wife, and well, now RJ, I guess like if we were buying a movie ticket for RJ, if he could actually sit and watch movies, it's kind of a deal in a way. So I don't know. We'll see. I haven't decided if I want to check it out. I think it comes out September 4th. So we got about a month. So we'll see. All right, guys. The last bit of news that I have for you on Nifty Nerd News comes from Florida. Yes, we're bringing back Florida Man because, God, man, he just keeps coming in the news. However, this Florida man is a Florida congressman, our hopeful Congress candidate man. There's a lot of words that I'm just not going to say. Anyway, this dude is known as K.W. Miller, and boy, is this dude a piece of work. He has a vendetta against all things Asian culture, and especially anime. And if you just look up K.W. Miller and anime, you're going to get a truckload of things. I don't even know what to describe this dude other than, God, please don't elect him, Florida. Like, Florida, you do some really crazy crap. Please keep K.W. Miller away from any type of legalness because it's just bad. One of his claims being that Dragon Ball Z is porn, is anime porn. Now, I will say this. I have not seen the Japanese version of Dragon Ball Z, and I have heard that it is a little more perverted, ecchi, even if you want to use those terms, you weebs. But this dude, I don't think he's watched it, or like what he has watched. I'm not sure if what he was watching was Dragon Ball Z. He swears up and down that is porn. We should not be giving it to our kids. He goes on to talk about just like how, man, I just can't even with this dude, but like literally attacking shows on Cartoon Network for whatever reason. I mean, I guess you got to pick a side, right? And his is very far to the right. But like, why Dragon Ball Z? Out of everything that he could have picked out as borderline porn. Look, I watch a lot of anime, and a lot of anime I probably shouldn't be watching in the presence of others. And he picks Dragon Ball Z? Has he not seen, like, I mean, hell, like, what has some fans? Fire Force, which is a newer one. It's got a lot of fan service and girls in, like, bikini tops and stuff. Domestic Girlfriend, which is incest inception. But don't worry, they're step brothers and sisters, so it's fine. But like, there's so many more that he could have pulled from, and he chooses Dragon Ball Z, something that was what, like late 90s, early 2000s. Well, I mean, Dragon Ball still goes on, but like, he said Dragon Ball Z. He didn't say Dragon Ball. He didn't say GT Super or like whatever, or Super or any of that. He said Dragon Ball Z. And from what I remember watching it on, no, because he even says on Cartoon Network, and I don't know if the other ones are on Cartoon, or they might be. I don't have cable, so I don't watch Cartoon Network. But from what I remember, the worst thing that I ever saw was Goku dies. Like, I mean, there's violence in that anime, but there's not like a tons of blood. I mean, maybe in the Japanese version, they're just gushing just inhuman amounts of blood, but I don't know. This dude is kind of interesting, to say the least. I'm trying to see where else he goes. They are now introducing a great deal of anime porn into the internet matrix. Dragon Ball Z is one of the top issues here. They are sexualizing cartoon characters to push a depraved agenda on our kids. What's next? Where will it end? Yet, I don't think he said anything about like the movie industry, because if you look at the movie industry, man, you can't go like even Marvel movie, like every like Marvel movies is totally going to the female gaze, male gaze too, and like I mean, there's so much more that you could fight against. Why call out Dragon Ball Z, man? Like, call out something that's like lolicon or like, you know, incest, or like look for the depraved things, like Aramanga Sensei or something like that. Like, I'm trying to wrap my head around Dragon Ball Z, man. There's even weirder shit than Dragon Ball Z. I mean, there was like Blue Submarine 6, which was like the world had flooded, and there was these weird half human, half fish monsters, and there was like this one like fish girl who was in love with like this dude, and then like he's got this weird feelings for her, and like that's weird. Talk about that. Be upset with that. But Dragon Ball Z, which I mean is muscle porn, to say the least. I mean, that's just dudes with super muscles just screaming. Maybe that's what he was sitting, like his son was probably watching Dragon Ball Z in his room, and his son was and like the dad's gonna come in the room like, hey, are you winning, son? But all he could hear was like all these weird male screams, and he's like, oh my god, my son's watching porn, and the worst kind, gay porn, because he's far right. So in his minds, the worst porn that you can watch is probably what he does with other men, because that's horrible and despicable, and he needs to experience, so he just knows how horrible and despicable it is. Because that's always the weird thing with a lot of far-right Republicans, is they're really against homosexuality, then it turns out they're homosexuals. I have to whisper that because they'll find me and touch me. Anywho, yeah, this dude, KW Miller, says a lot of weird shit. I mean, he's got a bunch of followers on Twitter. I think he has like over 30,000 followers on Twitter. So obviously there's a lot of people who are at least along for the ride. Maybe not agree with him, but they definitely want to see what kind of weird shit he's going to say next, or what he's going to attack next. I'm waiting for his campaign against Hello Kitty, and probably, oh man, show him a Gretzko, because that would be just great. I mean, a Gretzko's not even like a bad thing, but it's about a woman in the workplace, you know, and she's trying to be treated as an equal, and I know he would not stand for that, obviously. Plus, it's an anime. It's porn. Tons of porn. That's the last bit of anime. That's the last bit of Nifty Nerd News, guys. Thanks to you. I don't know what I'm saying. But thank you guys for listening this far with the Nifty Nerd News. Sit tight. We're going to take a short break here, and then we're going to get into the comic book for review this week, which is Negan's Revenge. Negan Lives. So yeah, let's get on with that. I'm just all over the place.
Hey everybody, this is Nerd Bomber here, one of the co-hosts of the Online Warriors podcast. Our weekly podcast started as a way for three friends to keep in touch and discuss their passion for movies, gaming, technology, and entertainment. And since then, we've grown into a fantastic online community. Every Wednesday, we release a new episode discussing the latest nerdy news, and then we go hands-on with our weekly adventures and a fun trivia show. Sound interesting? Check us out on every podcast platform, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts, or hit us up at onlinewarriorspodcast.com.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning in for the comic book review portion of the Bry-Fy podcast. Today we are going to Image Comics. I know we've been talking about Thor for like ever since COVID. I feel like ever since like COVID hit the States, we've been talking about Thor, and my hope is that if I just stop talking about it, it will go away, much like the president, you know, feels about COVID. Anywho, so Image Comics, Negan Lives. It is a story like it was booked. It was advertised as a one shot with Negan in it to just kind of, you know, the Walking Dead comic's been over for a while. I think the Walking Dead television show is coming into its final season. And so this is just kind of something to get people excited again for The Walking Dead, because I don't know, it's not like they announced another new show, which they did, and it's not like they have another show that's going on, which they do, and it's not like they're planning on movies to follow up with whatever happened to Andrew Lincoln's character, Rick Grimes, which they are. So, it's like no one knows that The Walking Dead is the thing, and so we got to bring back one of its best characters. No, I don't know, man. At this point, it's greed. Like, let's face it, but it's Negan, so I gotta know. Like, I gotta know what's going on. I mean, the band's back together. Got Robert Kirkman writing it, Charlie Adler doing the pencils, inks, and the cover, Cliff Rathburn on gray tones. So, I mean, it's the crew, This isn't just some slap together thing like, hey, let's do it. No, these are the guys that do the main book, so it has the look and feel of the main book. It picks up with Negan kind of right after he's been exiled from Alexandria after winning his way back out of prison. I'm trying to remember what group it was that came through. Negan comes out, helps them fight to survive, ends up being quite of an impressive leader during that battle, or we'll just say warrior during that battle, and ends up kind of retiring Lucille. Lucille gets broken. He buries her. The Bat, of course, who we learned in another Negan comic was his wife, or the name of his wife, that he kind of used that name to represent her with the Bat and stuff and kind of honor her in a weird way. Well, this comic kind of picks up with that storyline a lot, It's kind of funny because you see Negan doing his Negan thing, but he's doing it to a group of flowers, which is kind of weird. But it's like he's trying to live his glory days, but he can't. He's not around anyone. He can't really do any of that stuff. And it's, we see him go about his day collecting flowers for Lucille and just kind of, surviving and living a mostly peaceful life now in exile. Until a girl comes. And not just a girl, a woman. It's kind of weird, though, because when she shows up, she's very clean, she's very pretty, she doesn't look tattered or worn. She says she's been out for a couple of years now, and something doesn't seem right. Is this a hallucination? Is this a trap? Of course, if I'm thinking this, Negan is like 5 steps ahead of me, and of course, it turns out to not be what it seems. Negan has to deal with a new threat that kind of shakes up his natural way of life right now in probably one of the best ways possible. The only way Negan can do stuff with the Negan language, the Negan fighting style, things just go really crazy. And it doesn't go we obviously know Negan lives. Spoilers, for those of us who have read the main series to completion, we know that Negan makes it that far. He makes it to the end of the story. So it's no secret that he's going to survive this encounter. But what does this encounter really mean to him? What we get in this comic is just kind of where his headspace is at, where he kind of feels at in his life. He feels kind of like, I have nothing to live for, but I'm not ready to die yet. There's still stuff that I haven't completed, He talks about how his wife is still out there. Like, she didn't just die and then just become just meat pile. Like, she's a zombie. Her body's out there somewhere, or he left her somewhere. Maybe she is a meat pile and she's just back where their original home is. I can't really remember from the Negan comic book, which I guess I don't know if that's in a trade form. It probably is. I should probably go buy it. I'll look that up on mycomicshop.com and find it. But anywho, I'm getting besides the point. So that kind of becomes a catalyst, like a takeoff point. Oh, why did I say catalyst? That makes no sense. This kind of becomes a possible takeoff point for a new story Robert Kirkman talks about it in the end in the letters pages. We already know what happens. Negan comes back and lives a life to old age. But at the same time, it looks like this could be a fun story. The girl that he meets survives the encounter and agrees to go along with him. And she's not someone that's mentioned in the main comic, so something horrific has to happen to her, or she goes off to do something else. So I feel like there is, like, despite knowing what happens, there is a story there. And the way Robert Kirkman is, of course, when he says A, he really means B. And when he says no, he really means yes. And so I'm just going to say that even though he says this is a one shot and it's probably not going to become a series, it's probably going to become a series because that's what Robert Kirkman does. He likes to just troll and make money because he's good at it. He's good at being a troll and he's good at making money. So I suspect this being a series going forward, and it probably just be a limited run, maybe 5-10 issues, and then comes back. But then that would be kind of cool, kind of like the life of Negan. Like, what happens? Like, what does he do in exile to pass the time, to keep things going? Maybe he teams up with Carl, and him and Carl have some great adventures, because I think Carl talks to Negan. If I'm not mistaken, Carl does talk to Negan quite a bit after Rick dies, and so there could be stuff there for that. Who knows? I don't know, but I dig it. Like I said, it's the same solid artwork and story that you get from the main Walking Dead, which I was a huge fan of, and that you just get more of that here. It has the potential to be a really cool story, which I'm excited for, but we'll see. You know, is Robert Kirkman being honest, or is he trolling us like he normally is? Because let's face it, like, this is a moneymaker. People are going to read a Negan comic because, in a sense, Negan is like if Shane would have kept living, you know. He more brutal, more willing to take others out, least trusting in a way. So I don't know. We'll see. Actually, I'm surprised Robert Kirkman hasn't teased that, like a what happened if Shane lived story, and then like just goes on with that. Like, that would be another thing that I'm sure Robert Kirkman's thought about and might do. I'm going to call it. I'm going to say on the podcast now, what is this? It is August 10th when you're listening to this. I'm like 95% sure at some point within the next 5 to 10 years, well, probably even sooner than that. I'll say between now and the next 5 years, we're going to get like a what if story from Robert Kirkman of like, what if Shane lived? And how that's going to play out. Like, I feel like that's going to be a thing. So you heard it here. Probably not first. I'm sure other people have said this, but I feel like my prediction is more accurate. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, guys, that's it for the episode this week. Thank you for sticking on despite my many trips, slips, and falls throughout trying to talk this week. I just want to thank you guys for listening, and we shook things up a little bit. We moved on to a new comic to talk about because I'm just tired of Thor, man. Like, Thor's just not really up my alley, dude. I like Spider-Man, I like Deadpool. I think I'm going to head back to those stories again because it's been a while since I've gone back to those wells to read what's been going on. Miss Marvel as well. And so I'm sure there's a good chunk of story that I can catch up on with all my favorite comics. And we'll see from there. I mean, honestly, other than that, I've been reading tons of manga. I have apps that let me read manga. I just downloaded the Shonen Jump app because I wanted to read My Hero. Like, I watch it on when it comes on Crunchyroll and stuff, but I wanted to start reading the manga because I've heard it's really good, and so far it is fantastic. I'm only through maybe like 10 or 15 chapters, and it's a lot of fun, so I'm really enjoying it. If you're looking for cool manga to read, I do recommend My Hero Academia. One Punch Man's on there too. We've talked about One Punch Man in the past because I was reading from the original creator. He still does the One Punch webcomic, which is hilarious and just how horrible it looks. But I mean, you can tell which characters are which. Like, he's able to draw the characters well enough to be like, oh, that's so and so. But if you get the Shonen Jump anime or manga app, reading app, it has the good One Punch Man art on there, done by an actual manga artist, and tells a lot more story than the webcomic does. And so I'm trying to remember where it gets up to. I think to the end of season 2, or right now it's right to the end of season 2, or it might even gone past that at this point. But it's pretty good. I'm really enjoying it. But that's it, guys. Thank you so much for joining me this week. And like I said, if you're wanting more Bry-Fy and you want to check out my morning show, head over to patreon.com/Bry-Fy podcast. It is a little more adult. We'll say adult because I use a little more colorful language over there. So you need to be 18 or older, or at least have your parents' consent, or, there's a button that asks you, are you 18? I can't tell you what to press, but if you press it, it'll let you in. For as little as $1, you can get all the new daily episodes, but the first 4 are free. So if you want to go test them out, see if it's, your speed and kind of like what you might be willing to listen to, go check it out. And then if it is $1, boom, binge watch. Those episodes are like 10, 15 minutes long max. So it's definitely just a little kick to your commute, and it should be a lot of fun. But I'm done talking. I've talked way too much, and I got to go give RJ a bath because it is well past bedtime. Well, bath time, which leads into bedtime. Anyway, Bry-Fy out.